I should have gave this clicker to John, just let him do the rest of the presentation for me. It's great to be here again, and I appreciate you all coming out and continue to be a supporter of the work that we've been doing and what we're seeing happen in Kingsport and the region. And I want to quickly thank Mayor Scholl, John Campbell, who are on the board of SyncSpace, Tim Willey, who's been instrumental in us coming together, and all of you for all the support that's been through this last few years of journey and creating something that we think is pretty unique and has a pretty awesome opportunity here for our future. Entrepreneurship in general, like John said, my whole life has been entrepreneurship. I started my first business when I was in high school, started programming, and never have looked back. Mostly because I'm pretty sure I'd be a terrible employee, but that's just been the pathway that I've been on. And when I first left college, I moved into the Holtzman Business Incubator out at the old Armory site, and that was really key for me because of what those facilities provide. When you're starting out, you don't have a lot of cash flow, so having an opportunity to have those sort of spaces that are designed around helping you get on your feet was really important. Flash forward almost 20 years of being an entrepreneur across a number of industries. Kingsport was always really supportive of me and in any endeavor, and I constantly praise Kingsport for its openness for young entrepreneurs to be able to integrate quickly into the business community so that we could help build our businesses as we continue to chase dreams. And that's really what entrepreneurship is all about. But we did lack a lot of things as an ecosystem in the region. As John mentioned, and you've heard this a million times, the common saying is that Tennessee ends at Knoxville. When you're moving west to east, Tennessee ends at Knoxville. And that's something that really was true in entrepreneurship as well. However, the tides have changed, and in the last few years, we've seen a lot of things happen. So today we're supposed to be talking about Create Appalachia, which is two things to me. One is an organization that I'm going to tell you about that I'm a board member of, but Create Appalachia is also what we're doing, and I consider our region to be a sandbox in entrepreneurship and what our opportunities are. But I want to start with my favorite Victor Hugo quote, which is, "Nothing can stop an idea whose time has come." I think it's a really great quote as it relates to a lot of things that have happened historically. To me, I use this quote and I've kind of changed it to say, nothing can stop a region whose time has come. And when I travel around, and I'm fortunate enough to have a pretty broad network around the nation, and I get to evangelize about East Tennessee and what's happening in entrepreneurship. 5 years ago, they were asking me, okay, you're from where? 3 years ago, it's like, okay, yeah, we understand what's happening in economic development. Last week, I was in New Jersey at an angel investment conference that's part of the Angel Capital Association network in the U.S., and I told them where I was from, and it's like, oh yeah, we know about you guys. We understand what's happening, and it's a really exciting time to be in the work that we're in. A quick update on, or kind of overview of some things you may have heard me say. Maybe just have one slide today. Does anybody have any advice on this, or should I just do it this way? Got it. SyncSpace is an organization that is the partner with Launch Tennessee, as John mentioned, was a statewide network, and that is a key partner with what we have in the state. In fact, they just spent the last 2 days here for a whirlwind tour of everything that we're doing with the region. Of course, we specifically focused on Kingsport, and then we had a large event last night that I'll tell you about in a little bit shortly. But we focus particularly on developing a pipeline. You may not be able to see it. This is a map of the U.S. SyncSpace has developed a national network of how we integrate with entrepreneur centers and entrepreneur groups across the country to help tell them about what we're doing in East Tennessee and help them find a home here, which is a big part of our success. We built our region around a strategy that our region is really unique. And everybody knows about the hub, and everybody knows about this kind of regionalism movement that's been going on, and the controversy with it and the opportunity. What I think we've solved in this conversation is that our region is really, really unique when you think about the individual cities and the assets that they have. From an entrepreneur's perspective, an entrepreneur will go anywhere that there is an opportunity that helps them continue to grow a business. Our region has historically had a little bit of an issue, and part of it's our culture and our roots, which I'm very proud of, is that we like to win, and we compete with ourselves sometimes and that gets in our way. But when you think about what the region looks like as a whole to the outside world, we are one of the very most unique places in the country for what we can offer as a region. So quickly to say, we focused our strategy around what happens in the 3 Tri-Cities. If it's in Johnson City, we talk about healthcare and research because that's where our university is, that's where our healthcare system's headquartered. kind of makes sense. In Kingsport, which we'll talk most about today, we talk about advanced materials, advanced manufacturing, because that's where Eastman's at. The RCAM is here, Northeast State has a big presence, and then all the things we're doing at Innovation Village in the city. And what that created in our region, so think about just us, was an opportunity for each city to understand why there are two pieces of the same puzzle and how that may work together. When I go and evangelize that, hey, we have both an advanced manufacturing focus and here's why, and we have a healthcare focus and here's why, the outside world understands that, and they see that as a competitive advantage. In fact, I think I've maybe told this story before, but one of the companies that we recruited early in our programming was a company that was working with Johnson & Johnson in Houston, and it's a medical device company. Our region is not known for medical device companies coming here, not in an entrepreneurial space. But when they found out that Eastman was here, who makes the base material that they use in their device, and they found out that there was a top 10 hospital system here that's focused in a rural population, which they're also interested in, that was two things they can't find anywhere else. So East Tennessee becomes extremely attractive when you think about what we are when we are together. So our strategy has been about leveraging our region's assets as a whole. So we have been able to, as SyncSpace, to be able to put together a significant network of partners throughout the region that's been really important. And for me, these partners represent the message of what our region really has to offer. I'm going to focus specifically in a few minutes around one that is pretty exciting that relates to our speaker last week, but I'll come back to that in a second. We have programs across the region that reach a number of different people. I'm wearing my favorite program shirt today, which is the Strive program. That's a veterans program for veterans and veterans families to be able to start, grow, or scale their business. It's a partnership we have with ETSU. In fact, this fall will be the first year we brought it to Kingsport, so I'm excited for that to happen coming up this fall. I'm going to skip through some of this stuff, but this kind of shows through the partnerships that we've done around the region. We have significant success in all three cities because of the support that we've found in each of the regions. And what SyncSpace's model is, and it's what we do when I get to create Appalachia here in a second, is that we try to empower other organizations and help them do what they're already doing, just help them do it with more resources. And so our model has been based around how do we help elevate the existing opportunities for entrepreneurs in the region while still building this higher level of ecosystem that is really what the focus is and what's been attractive to the outside world. I'm going to skip Bristol and get it straight to Kingsport. So in Kingsport, there is, you may or may not remember, we announced the Innovation Village back in March. The Innovation Village is something that John and I have been talking about for 4 or 5 years. COVID got in the way, or we would have done this a couple of years ago. But what happened was, if we think about what I mentioned a minute ago about Kingsport being a center for advanced manufacturing and materials in the state, and how that could be really important, not only in our region, but what that means for Central Appalachia, and how we could be an epicenter for advanced manufacturing opportunities for entrepreneurs. When the city approved the makerspace back in 2017, John and I started talking about what could we do to build this full ecosystem out. Again, we're in a unique place when you have the public sector, the city, get behind an entrepreneurial opportunity like an inventor center, where you have to really take advantage of what that can mean. And so what we originally designed was how that space could be designed for entrepreneurs who want to be involved in prototyping. Yes, you can go and learn how to do and learn how to use equipment and learn how to make crafts and those sort of things, but it's also got equipment that's designed for entrepreneurs who are prototyping. The Innovation Village is a concept built around 3 things. The whole ecosystem of an entrepreneur with a product or an inventor is that you have to first design a product, then you have to prototype a product, then you have to manufacture a product. And so this Innovation Village has been designed to have all 3 of these components in the city's facilities in downtown. The Makerspace has been around now for almost 5 years. It's over 80 members strong. Your current past president is a member of the board and has been involved with that project since the beginning. If you go over to Shelby Street and Center Street, you can kind of walk around. This was the old City Hall building, the old CATS Transit building, and those were the previous occupants of these facilities. But now here, just in our neighborhood downtown, you can go and experience some of the things that we've been able to build. In March, we cut the ribbon on the old City Hall, which represents the Creative Center for Digital Arts and Digital Media. If you have not been to the old City Hall since March, please go by and see it. You will not recognize that building anymore. Where you used to pay the water bill is now a digital media training lab. where the city manager's office is now full of technology and entrepreneurs who are building really unique media and art. And so what we represent is that we have been able to provide this community with the opportunity for people who are interested in creating products, interested in inventing products, to come and receive training. But we've also done it in such a way that we can provide access to this facility for low or no cost to all the communities, whether it be young students, entrepreneurs who are already here and trying to grow business, or people who are coming in and looking to move to this area. So if you combine what the efforts of what Jeff and Don talked about last week and what's happening in that space with this kind of opportunity, it's something that our area has not been able to offer, and the type of attraction that we're bringing to people is quite unique for anywhere in Tennessee. Launch Tennessee spent the last 2 days here, and I'm going to tell you, they were blown away with what this region is doing for entrepreneurs. Our region has long been the forgotten space for entrepreneurs. We are now the talk of the state as far as what's happening. The rest of the state is looking in that, and that's not just because that is because of everything that we've done with the city partnerships, with our state partnerships, to be able to create something so unique. This is kind of a headlines that this partnerships, and the press. Cameron Sexton, who's the Speaker of the House in Tennessee, made a recent visit up just for a couple stops. One was related to an investment opportunity in the south part of the region, and then the second was to see SyncSpace and what he's doing. He understands that. He's been a great partner for us from the state government and helping us move this vision forward. So as I mentioned, what is exciting, and I was able to share this last night. Last night we had a pitch event. So if anybody's watched Shark Tank, probably everybody's watched Shark Tank. We had an event last night in Johnson City. We'll have one in Kingsport probably this fall, where we had over 200 people show up to listen to a group of recent graduates from one of our boot camps pitch their idea. We gave away $10,000 to the winner. It was a really exciting event. A lot of our regional partners were in attendance, a lot of families, a lot of community brought together, but we also had visitors from Nashville in to be part of it. Again, they had no idea what they were coming into. They'd only heard the buzz, but it was a really exciting opportunity for them to see what we were doing. When I was younger in this community, one thing that I was early taught, and this is a little bit of a critique for us to learn from, but also something I think is very real, is that one of the things that we have to challenge ourselves with continually to evolve is that sometimes we don't believe in ourselves as much as we maybe should, or we don't give ourselves enough credit for how good and how accomplished and how innovative we are being in the activities that we do. But the outside world is giving us that credit. And I think there's a direct correlation in economic development around what we believe we can be and what other people believe. And if they're not the same, it makes it much harder for us to recruit. Right now, SyncSpace is actively being recruited from 4 different states, 3 contiguous and 1 who's not, is out west, to be part of their communities because they see what activity and how we're putting partnerships together. One, I'm very proud to say that, but I'm very proud of our community to say that, because we as a community are what's making that happen. It can't be any one person, it can't be any one group, it can't even just be a couple. It has to be a community movement that moves these things forward. And that's what I share with these other states when they contact me about being involved in what they're doing. But the thing that's the challenge and opportunity for us is that for us to continue to believe that that is what we are and that is what we can be. And that is something that I need you to help me to continue to promote, continue to convince our community that we are at the level where we can attract this type of talent. Last year, and this is not related to a slide, but last year we had a company that was out of New York that was coming to our area. And we're very close to getting it. It was a little early. One of the things that we're working on now is bringing access to capital to the area. So there'll probably be a time in the near future where I'll come back to you and I'll talk to you about angel capital and what's happening in investment opportunities. I've actively kind of pushed that out for a couple of years because you don't want to bring that in too early, because we want to make sure the ecosystem and the deal flow is great so that people who are interested in investing can get involved and have a good experience. Last year we had a company here who was coming and very, very interested in our area because of all of the opportunity and things that we have in place. And one of the things that was really troubling is that we were so close to landing that we got scared because they were bringing 150 jobs. Really high quality jobs. The kind of jobs that we talk about we want to make sure we have for the kids who are graduating so that they can stay in the area. And we immediately thought, okay, we're about to do this. How are we going to make sure we have the opportunity to create the workforce that this group's going to need? And so when I go back and I say things like we need to challenge ourselves to be who we who we can be and believe that what others are saying about us, we have to think about how we can position ourselves to not talk about the challenges, not talk about the negative, but think about what the opportunities that it comes when it relates to entrepreneurship and workforce. To me, the shift is happening. It's unlikely that we'll have another Eastman move here. It's unlikely we'll have another Domtar move here, but these jobs in the community and the environment and the nation that's happening around small and medium-sized businesses, the 25 to 75 to 100 employees who don't need massive manufacturing because of the digital economy and the creative economy, that is a space in which we can really dominate if we focus around how we can play that role we can punch at a weight that's above where we are now. And we have the attention. So I want to talk about a couple of things that have happened with SyncSpace and where I think we are now. And this is, again, largely credit to the partners that SyncSpace has. Last night I was very proud to be able to announce that Launch Tennessee was in attendance, as well as the commission that was there. As a region, I believe SyncSpace is the only nonprofit economic development agency that's currently receiving funding from all 3 cities. I'm fairly certain of that. And that to me shows that the focus on the impact, how do we help create jobs, how do we help these entrepreneurs, is a road laid from a service standpoint. We have not tried to be at the headline. We have focused specifically on how do we make impact and how do we recruit. And a lot of the things that we've shared today, and I'd love for you to ask questions on, is related to this model. I think that's the opportunity for the hub and the opportunity for regionalism is based in that approach. Where we're at now, and a couple of things I want to share about what you're about to see next. So I need you to go see these spaces so that when I come back next, I can point to things you've seen. Is that we're at a point now where we have the opportunity to create partnerships that will have an impact at a level that's not been done in Tennessee, at least not East Tennessee. Right now, we are working on making this Innovation Village thing a reality. We're very, very close to having the third component of that with the city and how that may look. What I want to call that, what I want to make that be known is that Kingsport becomes the center of innovation and advanced manufacturing in Central Appalachia. A little bit of a mouthful, but I want to be that distinct about it. Nationally, when people look up what's happening in advanced manufacturing, Kingsport's on top of the list. That is our goal. In fact, when Launch Tennessee was here, I caught him off guard because I told Launch Tennessee, I said, we want to become the 5th mentor network in Kingsport around advanced materials and advanced manufacturing. And I saw a stunned face because I had hit on something that they are already working on and something they were already focused in, but they had no idea how close we are to already being that. And what that would represent is a significant financial incentive that would come from the state for us to have an opportunity there. And we are really well positioned for that. Another goal that I had that was part of SyncSpace strategy for next year, we just happened to be a little early in achieving it, was that I wanted to bring a corporate partner online. And thanks to Danny, Karst, and John, and some other connections, D.R. Horton, who was here last week in attendance, has announced that they're going to do a formal partnership with SyncSpace. Corporate partnerships are key to the future of economic entrepreneurial activity. What we've done so far has been very community heavy, very public heavy, very state heavy. But I've been very strategic about not wanting to bring in corporate partners too soon because that's a well you only get to go to once. And when we go, we want to go big. And so because of what's happening with D.R. Horton, and Danny, please ask him questions about this, they've identified, they're the nation's #1 home builder, and they've identified East Tennessee as the fastest growing market per size, per capita. That's not a small thing. That's a big thing. And what that does is it creates immense opportunities for all people who are interested in that industry, but also entrepreneurs and small businesses that are interested in being part of that supply chain. So we're going to be announcing, actually the press release should go out Tuesday, we're going to be announcing a pre-apprenticeship academy with D.R. Horton in partnership with SyncSpace to bring a new training program to this area. On one end, it'll be focused on workforce development, with Northeast State's going to help us on the training side to help train the workforce to be part of their supply chain. Also, it's going to be focused on the ESL space to bring Spanish-speaking opportunities for the construction and trade industry here. But then my particular interest in this opportunity is that they are incentivizing the opportunity for small businesses of the region to be part of that economic impact. D.R. Horton's going to spend somewhere between $300 and $500 million in the next 18 months in our region. What we want to see is small businesses and entrepreneurs be able to be part of that economic impact. Largely, thankfully, we have developers who are on the front end being an important part of that growth, but that means it also could impact our community and our small business in a very significant way. That is not a small thing. For me, another thing that's the focus of ThinkSpace, and it's part of what we're doing at the Digital Media Center here in town, is all of the equipment and all of the technology that we're putting in. We put almost $500,000 of digital media equipment into that building in the last 4 months, with more to come. That was done through a partnership with the city to provide the space, with ThinkSpace to help provide the revenue, and a grant that was powered by Create Appalachia to bring that together. The biggest barrier to entry in the digital media space, and if this goes down to people who are doing video editing and commercials and all that stuff that you see, it's anything related to film, the movies that you watch, it's whenever you think about kids using Snapchat or TikTok, it's all of this related to what's called a creator economy. The biggest barrier to entry historically has always been the cost. To get a decent computer to do this is $5,000 or $6,000. That is not something that just the average student can get. It's not something the more affluent kids can get. And when they do get it, what happens when they have this training is they leave, because there's no job, there's no opportunity to have access to this kind of equipment. And that is a problem we're trying to solve. With the investment of the grants and opportunities in that space, we now have the facilities to do that. But because of the unique way we put the partnership together, the barrier to entry is basically zero, which means the most disadvantaged or inaccessible parts of our community can access this equipment that is otherwise a barrier they would never achieve for free. And so how we see that rolling out in our community is being able to outreach to the elementary schools, to the middle schools, to integrate them into this program, to start understanding visualization, visual communication at these early ages, to equipment that they just wouldn't have access to. And those are things that are already in place at this time. We have some corporate partnerships and some state resources that are going to come around that space, and that's a really unique place. There'll be a point where we'll need a lot of volunteer help on that down the road, but that's a really exciting space for us to be in. And then, as I mentioned, the mentor network around advanced materials and advanced manufacturing that we're going to be bringing online soon. In the last 3 years, I would say that our ecosystem has grown at a rate that it's almost hard to even explain how fast it's grown. And we're happy to play a leading part of that, but it's because of two things. Really, it's a lot of organizations that we found a way to work together and elevate really, really quickly, and not really worrying about who gets credit, but just worrying about what we're trying to do. Somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200 businesses have been started or have had significant growth because of the ecosystem that we've created. And then the other thing, going back to my slide and to tie these things together, is that we're in a moment where our region is in our moment. COVID was the great equalizer. The world was flattened when that happened. Just like D.R. Horton sees this as an opportunity for building this being their fastest neighborhood for home development, it's the same when it comes to small business and entrepreneurship. That window will close, that window will change, but at the moment we have the attention of what's happening in innovation space and entrepreneurship, and I feel like it's a personal challenge and that we have to live up to that moment and create what's potential for the current and future entrepreneurs of the region. If you have any questions, please ask. I would really like to see and give tours to anybody who would like to see what our spaces are. I'm going to go ahead and tell you one more cool thing, because I just don't have a slide for it, but it's pretty neat, is that in this digital media space, we are also working actively with the state of Tennessee right now to open an entertainment office. So in the state of Tennessee, if you've heard about Georgia, what Georgia does for movies, right? The incentives and all the things that happens, right? A lot of film industry and entertainment industry moved out of California to Georgia and other states. Tennessee, we're actively in that space too. In Tennessee, there's a massive emphasis in entertainment in Nashville and in Memphis and in Knoxville. Knoxville has a significant, because that's where Discovery's at. Time Warner just announced a big conglomerate buyout of some of that. But East Tennessee is not on that map. In fact, last year there was $16 million that was spent in entertainment in Tennessee. Guess how much we got? 0. So we're actively trying to change that now. I would say by the fall, we will announce that ThinkSpace will play a key role in this, but we will announce an entertainment office in this region. What that means is that when production like that comes, that we will be on the map for being able to be part of that production. We're working actively with the city to put in facilities related to soundstage and some other things that are part of that economy. Do I think that all totally will make sense right now? No. Are we putting a lot of it together? But when you think about what the future in this creative economy looks like for all of the entrepreneurs and the students that we have, we're in a really exciting moment. Wanted to share that, not on a slide, but I just wanted to put that out there. What I would like to do is, again, please, let's find time if you all want to come see our space, see what we're doing. I'd love to do that, and I'd love to take any questions if you have any. Thank you for letting me be here today.